Hi. So finally got that stream to work. For some reason, it wouldn't let me start the other one. So here I am on a different stream. Sorry about the confusion. I'm glad that you noticed and worked it out. First of all, I'm just jumped into my normal, so my kind of OP original save to bring up the Iron Vulture, which I just claimed specifically for this, just to show what it looks like. I'm going to take it out, for those of you that aren't really that familiar with it. And there are a couple of things about this. I'm going to stay in just chatting for now because I'm going to jump into another save in a minute. There are a couple of things about this. Firstly, the Iron Vulture itself as a reward is not, let's get this sun in the right place. It's not the same as building one. The stats aren't the same. You can't get as good a ship if you build one. But on the other hand, I was collecting the parts in the expedition save, because every time you go into the expedition, if you at some point take the Iron Vulture over, which you can do towards the end of any expedition, you can just switch back to your normal save, make the Iron Vulture your main thing, or claim it in the expedition, whichever is allowed. Some expeditions don't allow that. And once you've got the Iron Vulture in your expedition save, you can then copy it back into your main save and break it up for parts. So you can get each of the parts using an expedition. And so you can theoretically build your own one, but the stats will be different. And to demonstrate just how different the stats are, let me just pull up the save editor, which should be possible here. Save editor, where are you? There. So this is the save editor, and this is the Iron Vulture. And the stats, which they're quite small. I've got a blue line across me. The stats, although they're quite small there, they read damage 77, shields 116 approximately, hyperdrive 150, just 51, and agility 39, which means that those stats are outside the range of an ordinary hauler if we were to build our own hauler with the parts, because an S-class damage bonus for a hauler is only 30, and the Iron Vulture has 77. The shields are actually within the range, 115, between 95 and 125, so that's not so bad. Hyperdrive is in the range, that's between 45 and 58, and the hyperdrive here is 51. And agility is much, much higher in the original, which is 38 point, well, it's about 39, whereas the range for an S-class for building a hauler is 10 to 15. So what we're going to build in a different save to this is not going to be as good as this in terms of agility and damage. It's just, we just can't do that. So let's take that away. But what we can do is we can make it as best as we can. And theoretically, we can jump from system to system. Oh, I just went to the wrong save. I have to bear with me a second while we go back into that save. So, hi Ignition, hi Gravnaut. Is anybody else here? Can't see anybody. And me. If I click on participants. So get out of that. Go to quick mode select. Yes. Go back to, and I'm going to go into my Omega Plus save, which is the one that I ran the expedition in the other day. OBS. OBS is very confused about what stream is going on at the moment because of that last minute switch. It doesn't seem to be fully caught up, I don't think, but there you go. Give us a way to confirm to me that you are still here. So in this save, which I have mainly been running expeditions from back to back, I have a number of ships, but I don't think I have the Iron Vulture. Let's just make sure I haven't got it in storage. Yeah, so I've got the Wraith, the Boundary Herald, and the Starborn Runner. Oh, I have got the Iron Vulture in storage. That's not a problem. Because the other thing I have is I have in my normal storage, I have the parts. So I've got these 3 parts. And I have an S-class reactor, so I can build one. Thanks for the confirmation. You're still here. Right, so the next step is just go to the anomaly. Why is that sparking? This is the problem with this. It makes weird sparkings. I think it's supposed to, but it's odd. Not my favourite ship, this one. Boundary Herald. I think it's on fire. Why am I going to the anomaly? I don't need to go to the anomaly. I want to go to a space station. It's nice to be flying a ship with the flight assist override thing, which I'm used to. Whereas recently I've been flying the Wraith and it doesn't have that. I've got much more control over it. So what I'm going to be doing in this stream is building it in here. No, not in there, in here. And let's switch to normal mode. Get rid of that. And get to that. Actually, I might want to take my... maybe move that out of the way, because we're in the way here. That's not the one. Move that there for now. It might be a bit confusing because I'll turn that way a lot, but at least we'll be able to see the stats as we're building a ship. And when you say you want the first person, did you want the first person in the Boundary Herald for a second, or did you just want a first person in the Iron Vulture? That's the first person in the Boundary Herald. It's actually a very nice cockpit. Although on Steam, I don't know if it's fixed on Steam Deck, but for a long while on Steam Deck, the windows weren't blocked out. I'm on 100. Actually, what am I on? Display. Not display. Is it general? Is it camera? It's probably camera. Yeah, I'm on 100% field of view for both because I prefer it for streaming. So it does kind of, you just start to see the edges of the model when you've got it on 100. You can see some spaceships, you see glitches around the edge. I don't think this one's actually that bad, but a couple do. I think maybe a slight weirdness on that window there. But on the Steam Deck, the cockpit isn't black. At least it wasn't when I was last on the Steam Deck. So when you're outside of it, you can see straight into the model, which is really disconcerting. Yeah, I started using 100% field of view just for streaming. I just got so used to it, and I've got a slightly curved screen, so it kind of just about works quite nicely. So I'm going to experiment with colours, and I'm going to experiment essentially with the stats, and I'm going to look in the save editor each time and see what the stats are. Now, I have already built one on this system, but we'll use this as a baseline. I tested it earlier. yesterday, I think it was. So we've got a reactor in there. We've got the wings. We've got the pressure. Now, I've only got one of each. So what I'm going to have to make sure I do is not save at any point, because I want to keep coming back to this. I want to keep reloading. So the normal colors, you can get it. You can't get anywhere near as dark. I mean, that light grey is about as dark as we're going to get there, I think. So it's all grey. Use my mouse, it'll be a lot easier. In the metallic colours, I don't think they're super metallic very often. I think that bit's metallic. In the stealth paints, which are these kind of disruptive pattern looks, get it a bit darker. Then there's the ironclad colours, which are much more like the original. And then there's these Titan stripes. Anybody remember which? Anybody remember which expedition we got the stripes from? I can't remember. They kind of sold them as FOSS, or well, they sold them as 1990s design, but they obviously were talking about FOSS, really. I quite like these, but it really is one slightly crazy pattern. I'm not sure if I totally like the pattern. Anyway, so I'm gonna get, for the start, I'm gonna experiment with colours, but I'm gonna use the Titan stripes and see if I can find a high contrast combination I actually like. And I'll take it out each time and look at it. The pity you can't go into a different setting and change the colours there. So have primary colour in one thing and then switch to a different paint style. But you can't. Go with that to start with. So I went out of it after all that. So do it again. Cockpit. We know roughly what we're doing now. We're going to go to that. We're going to go to, what do I do? A purple or a blue? See if I match that. It's a little bit messy. I'm going to be very fussy about colours to start with, I think. So I apologise for my switching between mouse and controller is going to probably be the best thing to do. I kind of like that. Right, so where are we? So we want to assemble. And then we'll just grab it. And now, theoretically, and we'll test this, the positions of the supercharged slots should change per system, and so should the seed. So that's what we're going to be testing to start with. So this is my baseline one. Add that to the collection. We'll fly it out, look at the colours. Now the other thing I've noticed is whatever colour you choose, this is just the ordinary hauler cockpit. We've got these things at the top there. It's very much a truck. whatever paint you choose, it's kind of coloured by these very, very bright fans. So even with direct sunlight, you start to get that blue tint. So you need to choose a colour that kind of goes with that blue tint, or it doesn't completely mess up that tint. (1987). But yeah, I'm not sure if it's too garish. Yeah, sorry, I missed the context of that question, Grabnort. Might put it over me, so let's doesn't really matter if it's over me. Where'd you get the cockpit design? Yeah, I got all 3 parts from the Iron Vulture itself. So I managed to get 3 of them by taking it into the expedition, pulling it back and scrapping it, or scrapping it in the expedition and sending the parts back. I mean, it's a nice looking ship. That blue is very, very blue, though. It's taken all of the colour out there and turned it all blue in the dark, in the shadow there. And then in direct sunlight, maybe we'll take it onto a an icy planet. Is there one over there? Yeah. Frostbound planets are quite good for judging colours, I find. Better than the inventory, I think. In the inventory, it can be very dark. I've just gone straight past it. Now I need to remember to not jump out on this planet, so I'll try not to land. Where is them? Can I just miss a planet like that? This one? Yes.
Extreme temperature detected.
I think there might be a storm going on down there, which is not the ideal thing. It's the moon. I think that's why I was a bit confused. Moons are super small and you think they're going to be bigger. If there was a storm, it's probably clearing, I think. No, maybe it isn't. Well, you can usually judge colours really well on a frozen planet. But when it's a storm, it washes everything out a bit. It looks kind of cool in that colour, right? Let's just see if the storm stops. Have a sip of coffee and wait and see what happens. As usual, the game is conspiring to mess up my best laid plans by making everything very stormy. Maybe what I'll do is find a planet that I can just teleport to. That's a snowy planet that hasn't got storms, so we can compare colours as we go. What else is in this system? I suppose these planets can be quite neutral, so maybe we'll look there. Maybe we'll look there while this storm's going
on. Extreme temperature detected.
What I like about frozen planets to judge colours is that they're quite Earth-like in their colour schemes. They usually have a blue sky. Not always, but usually. So that doesn't kind of skew things. Whereas here we kind of washed out greenish. I mean, it's certainly a 90s design. Not quite what Foss would design, but Foss being an artist who used to do a lot of space stuff. The final stats just seem to be the final stats. You don't seem to be able to manipulate it. The only thing you can kind of really manipulate, and I don't think it's really worth it because of the extra hassle, is that when you use a different what's it called, the core reactor, I think it's called. When you use a different level core reactor, say for instance an A class, then theoretically you'll get a different seed, so that will change the stats for when you upgrade it to S class. So you can, but that would be a lot of hassle to do that on every single planet as well, and every single system as well. This storm is not going away. Well, maybe we'll judge the colors on this later. The most important thing for now is we'll check the stats out. So I'll go back to my just chatting, because that's where I've got the save editor set up. And then I need to show it on my screen so I can use it. Don't want to reload. No, I want to go back to main. I want to go to it's not working as it should. Hang on. We want to go to which one was it? Omega Plus, number 1. And it should have made autosave by now, so we should be able to look at the stats. So damage 25, that's actually not bad out of 30. Shields 103. Again, that's in the top half, well, maybe about middling. And hyperdrive 55, that's not bad. And maneuverability 12, that's not bad. So that's actually a good start for stats. Let's just jot some of those down. So 25, 103, 55, and 12, 25.7. And this is in Agari. Let me just double check to see if that storm is finished. If it has, we'll look at the colors. If not, we'll just build another one in the next system. If I can find the moon. Oh, here it is. The storm's finished now. Once the bedding, it'll start again just as we go into the atmosphere. Yeah, the problem with colors in general in No Man's Sky is that you never really truly ever see it's not a great planet for this. You never really truly see perfect colors, because they're always going to be changed by the environment. Yeah, it's not bad. It does show us the colors at least. Let's see if I can find a better one on this save. We'll keep an eye out as we go from system to system. So what we're going to do is reload. the restore point, not the autosave. And we'll go back into there. Frozen for colour also. I also prefer white ships and white suit appearance so that I can use the ship and suit for a white colour balance. That's not a bad idea, actually. But I don't want to land. If I land, I might be tempted to jump out of the ship. And I don't really want to jump out of the ship either. So we would gun this system. So let's have a quick look in my discoveries. A lot of things that are discovered by other people on this save, just because I've been in lots of expeditions. There's a lot of stuff I need to just go and explore at some point. Which could make a nice cozy stream at some point, just kind of exploring all of these planets I seem to have skipped through. Maybe see how far away that is. Yeah, definitely need to find a frozen planet with no storms. It's promising in that it's given me a line. Yeah, but nothing obvious. Can't see an exclamation mark there. Oh, there it is. Aha. Don't know why it was sending me in that direction. The lines really are quite weird sometimes. Let's quickly scope out the planet first. Because the other thing is, if we make a base, then we can teleport to it, and then I can be outside the ship without having to jump out and make a save. Now, I'm not planning to do this for hours, but I want to make a few comparisons and see if it changes, etc. And then later on, I'm going to have a short break, and then I'm going to jump back in and I'm going to look at bones, because I want to play with them a bit. I'm going to do what they always say you shouldn't do and break the stream at some point. But that way I don't have to mess around with recordings. I can just have two separate streams and... A little bit stormy, isn't it? Yeah, it's not ideal. I'll jump out of this one, obviously. Actually, the colours are reasonably well shown, except there's an extreme planet, so there's a good chance that it'll be washed out when I come here. Let's go to the space station anyway, and we'll make the ship here too. Oh, there isn't one here. We've come to... So that's not going to work. Let's see how far away this is. Possibly too far away. We go to the freighter. We'll start teleporting to places. While we're here, I'll quickly preview what I'm going to do later. I've decided I'm going to make a corridor of skulls, because they've all got these handy wall hangings as part of the models. So I'm going to try and just make a whole row of skulls to hang on the wall. That'll be my later on thing, which is very different to this, so it's not exactly a similar stream going from shipbuilding to bone collecting. So you'd think old paradise planets would be quite good places to bring ships, but they're really, really influenced by the very, very varied colours of the sky. So this kind of gets... that reflects in that colour there. Station, so I can't build here. But there should be other systems that I frequented around here. So let's go to that one. I didn't look to see if it was an ordinary system. So yes, it is an ordinary system. Too close. It is very much a Millennium Falcon, isn't it? I think I've got really quite good colour discernment. I can kind of tell what's going on most of the time. So, try a more dark, high contrast. Some of them seem to really be very light. Like, that's much more of a high contrast colour than, say, that. It's not kind of matched in its luminosity. That's more luminous than that, for instance. As is that. Okay, mouse is a lot easier for this. It's one of the few parts of the game that's actually better with a mouse and keyboard. We've got different positions of the supercharged slots. Nothing good though. And that'd be one of the things that's probably the most important, is where the supercharged slots are. But then of course it depends what you want to do with your ship. Do you want to boost everything a little bit, or do you want to boost one thing a lot? I quite like that colour scheme. It's a little bit more simple. And this star doesn't seem to be giving it too much of a sheen of colour. Right, so we want to provoke an autosave. And then I need to also work out why my thing isn't quite working. That's better. Okay, so we'll has it auto-saved? Yes, 1342. So we can bring this back up. Bring it back up for me. Would you like to reload? Yes. So this is the new set of stats. So 21.7, which is not as good as in damage. 119.4, better in shields. 48.4, so not as good in hyperdrive. And 10.1, so not as good in agility. So I'd say that's not a particularly successful one in terms of most of its stats. All of its stats were worse apart from shields. So probably not the best place to get it. Oh, I don't want to walk with this one, do I? So reload restore point. Where else have I been around here? Is that an ordinary system? Yes, it is. As far as I can work out, nothing else matters. It doesn't seem to matter what type of system you're in. It's just a randomized seed by the look of it. Earlier I was making a nice new starting screen, and then I went to try and use it and couldn't find the file, which was quite frustrating. That's quite nice. It's the accent that's confusing as to what to do with it. It's not as dark. I've chosen the dark accent there, but it's not as dark as the dark part of the pattern. No, I have hundreds of save files, and I have them mostly on my NAS box, so they're not clogging up my PC. It's a bit sensitive, isn't it? Yeah, okay. Well, I quite like that colour, so let's try that. I have no idea if these are going to be better. We can check that in the save editor as well. I'll do that in a second. So if we proceed from there. Interesting, it's really, really blue in the non-direct light because of those fans. What have we got in this system to... Barren planets can be okay sometimes. While we're doing that, let's check the 48. Yeah, so it's saved. So again, we can switch to there. Reload. Okay, so that's actually not bad. That's better damage. Shields, nothing great, but they're always not that bad. But better hyperdrive. And slightly better agility. So that's of all the ones we've looked at so far. So that's not bad at all, actually. This could be, what's the name of this system? Nakurba. This could be a good candidate for building it. It would take too long to get there. Let's go. Oh, I keep wanting to immediately do that, but I need to do the restore point first. Otherwise, I'm going to mess the whole thing up. Been over here. The interesting thing about playing an expedition save that just goes into expeditions over and over again is that you don't ever feel like you're settled in one place. You're all over the galaxy. Try the other different green setting. Let's try that. I know I didn't do. I didn't. Actually, before we do this, theoretically, I can still mess around with that last save. If I say no, go to technology and change the slots. And there should be a resize option. Oh, that's there. Go to 10. I think ships are all in the first 3, but I'll do 10-4 anyway. Multi-tools can be in the 4. Actually, that's not bad as well. So this is a pretty good candidate. We've got 3 tightly in one corner, which we could use for whatever we want, for maybe make the maneuverability better or give it a decent hyperdrive as it starts with a decent one. So that's not bad, that previous one. Right, so back to this one. This is a little bit more of a muted green structured pattern. I wonder if when we're pulsing it would give a better colour. No, it looks like it's still influenced by the sun. Definitely more subtle, and it's been more influenced by the blue in this system. What have we got in this system in terms of planets? Nothing much. Airless might be the best option. Actually, that lifeless might be a light. It looks like it might have that snowy effect on it. That can be quite good for colours. Because at least you can see the contrast with the white, like Grabnaut was talking about. A little way away. Just grab a drink. positioned my drinks further away, so I'm encouraged to stand up occasionally. Do you just mean in general or for colours? I mean, they're great for builders. If I'm ever doing a research and development base for building, I always choose one of these, the airless white planets. Then I try and choose the pole area, the celestial or solar pole area, so that it's always light, or as light as it can be. Is the sun up? They're a bit darker as planets, but you're not lied to about the colours as much. I think it's similar to what you're getting here, but I feel like it's so dark in here sometimes. Like that on my screen, especially at HDR, I kind of color match it, grade it out for the stream, so it's a little bit clearer. But on my screen in HDR, I can't really discern the colors at all. Yeah, they definitely feel very spacey, airless planets. But then I guess that's because our only real reference for what space is like when you go to a different planet is our moon. And our moon is like, kind of, this is what they're based on. And yes, our moon is a planetary body. It technically makes it a planet, just like Pluto, for instance. Which was it Ignition that was talking about going to airless planets to get bones? They found a... I've never seen one, I don't think, an airless planet with bones. But I know they increased the number of planets with bones. I haven't really done much bone hunting. So, save editor. So I want to reload. Ships. So 23 effectively. That's not great, middling for what we've found. 102.77. I mean, it's high, but not as good as the one we found earlier, but better than the last one. 51.2 and 13.4. That's better. So yeah, that's balanced with a good agility for a hauler. And then if we do the resize inventory, 10, and enable all slots. It's there, 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 and there. It's quite distributed. Nowhere near as good as that last one. So yeah, not as good. And that was Desh Val. Reload restore point. Yeah, I can imagine that it would be quite easy to just fly from point to point using your backpack. All the crash ships are pilotless. I never really thought of that, but they would have to be, wouldn't they? It's not something I tend to do, is look for crash ships. So yeah, I'd not really thought about it. I want to come here. We've already done here. So let's see if we've got anywhere else in the area. I wonder how many do we do before we choose? Now maybe we'll try and flesh it out with this new exploit system of going to abandoned systems, which I've been thinking about. And in normal, I mean, I still think it's a little bit OP in, say, if you have higher settings, but in normal, we can get so many ships, especially with the new terminals where we can store them, that maybe it's not OP to have another source of ship and multi-tool expansions, because we can get so many of them now, and it feels a little bit difficult to upgrade them all. So maybe I just feel like it's easily exploitable in the harder settings, so you just have to resist doing that and set your own limits. Actually, let me write down the system, because I keep forgetting to do that. Knob erect. Let's go for... Let's try one of these stealth colours for a change. So that's not very stealthy, is it? Very few parts there. That's not really affecting much. Let's make that dark. That'll do. Depends where the others are, I guess, for the supercharged. So many places it could be on that pattern there. Kind of matches this particular system, the green. Yeah, I think I'd prefer the stealth patterns. But it's not the pattern I'm going for. I'm going for that more boss look. It doesn't look bad. Got a bit of a metallicness to it, which is a bit odd for a stealth. What planets have we got here? colour atmosphere that has. Mark it. I keep forgetting we can mark it. It'll take some getting used to. I mean, I do it each time, but every time I have to go back in and do it. You can't always tell what colour the atmosphere is until you get quite close, because the game doesn't know. It doesn't try and render it. It looks kind of tealish, bluish colour from here. But again, yes. Let's see if I can put that there. Yes, I can. Handy. Right. I don't seem to be able to do it so I can keep it flying. That's frustrating. Right, so resize infantry to 10. Enable all slots. They're all along the bottom. Not great positions unless you wanted to do multiple things. Damage is absolutely awful. It's about almost as low as you can get on a hauler. Shields are pretty good actually. 118.6. Hyperdrive is okay. Not great. 21.6. Maneuverability, best we've seen so far. 14.8. It's a competitor. We still haven't found the perfect planet for the light, though. It's a competitor, but the damage is atrocious. How often would I be flying a hauler around and getting into fights is the question. I don't fly haulers around very often at all. I usually use them for storage. It's slightly changing the colour of the metal, but not anything else, I don't think. So that's not a bad representation of the colour. Not bad, I'm just not sure that's what I'm after, the disruptive pattern look. What would be interesting is if they changed the seed based on all of our choices, not just based on the station or the class, because the only thing that seems to make any difference is the class and the station. So, I haven't been here. Well, they are different. They're not significantly different, but they are different. They don't all max out 120. That's a persistent rumor because for a short while, they messed that up. They had the differences before 4.0, and then for a short while, they messed it up, and a lot of people maxed out their ships in the new system before they fixed that, which was only a couple of weeks later. So they went back to having approximately the same cargoes as before. But it's just that they're not that different. I don't think a fighter needs quite as much as it gets, for instance. So getting a hauler means you're maxing out 120. Unfortunately, getting an interceptor means you're maxing out 120. There were just no negatives for having an interceptor at all. And I don't get it. It's like they just decided to bring out a meta ship for no reason. It's like the people that designed it didn't know what they were doing. They may have changed it again at some point. I've got some notes on my phone, but you can look it up reasonably easily. The wiki is correct now on the maximums. I actually quite like that. That's not bad. Yeah, that's very dark there. What I don't know is what the limit for the amount of cargo you get in the A-class interceptor. I presume it's the same as the A-class for this, so I don't really pay attention to what the A-class limits are. I like that. It's quite metallic and slightly understated. Yeah, I think that works. I wouldn't have thought it would, but it kind of does. I also think that's good enough color in this system to not really need to go to a what's it called? A white system, a white planet. Just check my list because I think something might have changed at some point. What have you got there? Fight. Yeah, it's the fighter was 96 for a while, wasn't it? And then it was tidied up to 100. exotic and solar. I have exotic at 105, along with solar and explorer, and you've got it as 110. So I think that might have been, if something changed, that might have changed. Might be worth testing that, because the details I've got are different from that. And how much do we trust the wiki? That's the thing. I've got Explorer, Exotic, and Solar at 105 and Shuttle at 110. And these were my own tests at a particular time in March of last year. They might have changed. Right. So we want to have a look at the record there. That will do. Yeah, that's better. So file has been modified externally. Yes, we do want to reload. Ships. This one is a little bit better than that last one, but not great damage. 19.2. Shields 104.6. That's not great. Hyperdrive 52.6. Not bad. Maneuverability 12.4. Okay. The cargo, technology resize, make it 10. Enable all slots. There, and there. So quite distributed. So I wouldn't say this was the best of the finds so far. Minimize that. It's the first time I've ever felt like I needed 3 screens for a stream. Right. Reload restore point. Yeah, it's a very trustworthy name, that, isn't it? There's a persistent rumor that everything's still 120. That's what I was trying to explain earlier. Oh, coming to here. I don't want to come to here. Already built here. So I reckon we'll try a couple more, and then we'll pick the best of the bunch. You could get really, really obsessive about this and do 100, but I'm not that bothered. So it's just finding one that's not too bad. And then we'll share the glyphs of the one I choose. So I mean, you will have seen the glyphs are coming up, but I've not wedded to any of these systems. If anybody wanted to troll me, they could, because I'm going to probably move on at some point. So weird troll bases would not be a problem. This particular save has never really settled down. It's got more of a freighter mentality. Also, these are all in Islington. Everybody in Islington is great. Hi, Alphas. Good to see you. We're building different Iron Vultures, trying to find a decent one. And using the save editor to compare stats. My position is down the bottom here so as not to completely obscure everything. Go with that. This isn't looking promising, but you never know. They could be here. Not quite as high contrast as the other one was. Don't know if that's the position of the sun. Yeah, partly. I don't mind it. Stats. Yeah, yes. Ships. Slightly better damage. Yeah, shields, average, not great. Hyperdrive, not great. And agility, maneuverability, not bad. Check out those slots. Technology, resize, 10. Enable all slots. Actually, that's a bit better because we've got a nice free together. And one off on its own somewhere, which could be used for something else, I guess. So slots aren't bad. Medium. Yeah, they're not really my thing either. The actual Iron Vulture, though, has excellent stats. It's much... If you compare, for instance, what we've been looking at there, it's like stats. So far, the best I've found as an ordinary hauler is 29 damage. And the Iron Vulture has 77 damage. Just because it's outside of range for haulers. And the agility is 39 approximately, and the best we've found, because of we're in the range and that isn't, is 14.8. So the Iron Vulture itself, if you just claim it from the Quicksilver Merchant, is much better than these. Oh, I've done it again. I haven't warped. So I can see why people like it if they like chunky ships. And a lot of people do like that kind of industrial or military industrial look. I haven't been there, have I? Oh, I have been there. What about that? I haven't been there. But what I'm really trying to go for is that boss look, which kind of matches the aesthetic that they're going for now. Like this space station, for instance, is very Foss in its stripes, high contrast stripes. Makes me think blue and yellow might work. Maybe we'll try that. I keep referring to Foss, but I don't know how much people know about his art. So let's pull up something. If we pull up and go to record and pull up a browser, turn that off. So this kind of high contrast look, not quite in the right place. Let's move that over a bit. These kind of almost animal patterns sometimes. He loves his stripes and his oops. So yeah, that's the kind of look that I'm looking for. Yeah, some of them are very weird, but am I in the right place now? I've actually, yeah. Whereas a fighter, you could maybe go for that kind of very 90s disruptive pattern look. Whereas nowadays everything's painted black in the stealth environment, or kind of dark bluish colours. We don't have any really bright colours here. We can't really match this space station's look. I guess that's about as close as we can get. Really difficult to judge in these environments because everything's completely different colours. It's bad enough that the state systems themselves are different colours. Oh, I've gone to the wrong place. I wanted to go to photo mode. So it's not bad. The advantage is that this blue sheen from the engine doesn't significantly change the colours because it highlights the blue. Quite like that, actually. Unfortunately, I don't think the stats were great. So let's... Yeah, that one. Yes. Ships. Yeah, the stats. Well, the shields are good. Shields are the best we've seen. It's approaching the top of the range. And the hyperdrive's not bad. And the agility is pretty good. So yeah, it's just the damage. But as I said before, how much are we going to be shooting with a hauler? 16.7. 123. And some of our weapons are ridiculously OP anyway. 123.7. 51.5. 14.6. We just need to see where these other supercharged slots are. And yeah, they're very distributed. So we've got one here, one here, one here, and one all the way over here. So that's kind of if you wanted to balance out the ship as opposed to max something specifically. But I do like the look, so I might go for that colour choice elsewhere. It's a shame because those stats were good, but the supercharged slots aren't. But it's a toss-up. Do I want distributed slots or do I want slots that are all together? What do people reckon with supercharged slots? Do they like to max things out? Or do they like having them all in different places so they can upgrade each thing? That's exactly not what we're doing, isn't it, Gravnort? We're not playing the cards that are dealt. We're taking advantage of the system. Mass End. I don't think we've been there. Nope. I mean, ideally, we find a great one and then we point to it and highlight the glyphs, and other people can come and get their own best version. But we haven't found anything that's really stood out. But the one with the decent slots in Papanoa, or whatever it was called, system, is tempting. So partly distributed. You like something that you can... You like something that you can give a bit of extra oomph to, and then spread the rest out. What haven't we tried? We haven't tried my normal purple. Purple and blue are kind of my colours. See what that looks like. Oh, these supercharged slots are... We've got... This is the type of one that alphas would go for. And 2 together. And then we're going to have definitely 2 distributed. It'd be nice if the other one was there. Oh, I didn't jump into it. I was thinking I had to go and jump into it on the landing pads for a minute. A darker system, it seems. Or is it just the colours I've chosen? I don't think purple really works. The purpley and blue. Stats. Wind, oh, that's very high. That's the second highest we've seen. 28.6. 116.8 is pretty good. We have seen 123 in that last one, but other than that, it's the second highest we've seen. 50.5 is not super great compared to the other ones we've looked at, but not that far off the pack. And 11.6 is not great. And that was in Massen. Well, I mean, the whole point of this is being picky, and that's what we're trying to do. Why did... Oh, it must have saved again. Technology, resize, 10. The other one's right over here. So that's not ideal. But yeah, we've got 2 together. It wouldn't be bad if for distributed, that's not bad actually, because you've got 2 together here and here. And you've got 1 here for a different technology in the middle and 1 far off on the outside. But as Alphas was pointing out, they're all on the edge, so you can't really fully put things around them if you've got more than a few modules. But usually that doesn't matter too much, I don't think. So maybe try 2 more. Reload, restore point. We've got so far 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, we'll round it off to 10. We'll do 1 more. Well, the one I quite like has got them right tucked in the corner. So that might be the one I end up getting unless we find a better one. Oh, I've done it again. I've come straight to the thing without warping. Looks like that's where my settlement is. Rasoim Shimez. Go there. On my Titan save, I was just kind of playing around with it because if you remember, I was really frustrated with how terrible. That's a very vivid planet. I was really, really frustrated by how terrible the settlements basic product was. It was marrow bowl. So I ended up putting a settlement on a giant paradise that's also in that area. I'm tempted to make a bit of a epilogue to the Titan save just to show that planet. Somebody else found it, of course, because if somebody else found all of the things in that, because they're all near the expedition itself, near the Titan expedition route. Quite like that. Oh, this is looking nice. Interesting that it doesn't show them in the same place there. Maybe they weren't supercharged. We'll find out in a minute. Yes, they're just the normal. I was thinking they were the supercharged. So either the superchargers are right next to this one or they're in this area. Let's move that so it's not confusing us. Right. For a hauler, the highest damage stats are going to be 30 base. I mean, that's the underlying stats, not the weapon stats. But obviously, the underlying stats maximize. But for the Iron Vulture, it's 77, so it's well outside a hauler range. So, picture, yeah, I was going there. Yeah, I wouldn't have thought that colour combination would work, but it does. For me, at least. And that's not bad for the damage. That's pretty good for damage. But it doesn't look very good for shields, but it looks really good for hyperdrive. And the maneuverability is not great. This is one of those, depends on everything depends on these supercharged slots. We've got 2 there. 2 there. That's not bad. I mean, those are tucked in the corner, but these can be expanded upon down here. This is 29.1, 96.0, 55.9, and 11.0. Not bad. So obviously the damage is always going to be based on the cannon or whatever else is in it. Do we go for one more for luck? We've got 10. Yeah, it's not bad in terms that it's got to be a decent damage. So if you did want to protect yourself, and the supercharged slots aren't bad, and the hyperdrive isn't bad, which you want a decent hyperdrive if you're going to use a hauler, really. Let's plunge into the unknown, go somewhere where I haven't visited before. I'm running out of combinations that I might find interesting. Is that one? Yes, that's one. So we've got 1, 2 there. So if that one there was a supercharged slot, this would be a great one. Yeah, it kind of works. It's just the problem I have with these lighter colours is that this blue washes everything out a bit from the engines. Yes. Ships. Technology. Resize inventory. 10. right over here. Still, you got two together and one that's not too far away, which would work for something like hyperdrive, and one over on its own. Not too bad. So what's the consensus? Do we look for a couple more, or do we choose one of the ones we've got already? Looking at my list. Three more. It suggests that we haven't seen everything. Let's roll our luck with the purple systems. Make sure they've actually got 'I think I've got to the point where I'm only going to jot down the numbers if I find something really interesting now, because I've got a good range to choose from. So it will speed it up a little bit if I'm not jotting down numbers. $16 total does kind of make sense. I mean, it's the way. What have we done? 11. Let's not worry about the colours then. We'll just speed it up. I want you to go back to the ship. Yeah, I think supercharged slots do make a big difference, but they're not that rare to find together, so I'm not looking at colour, so I'm going to look straight at the... Put that up there. And that doesn't get in my way. Yeah, ships. Technology. Resize inventory. 10. I've got none active. Okay, 2. That's not bad. These are quite close to each other. Things like hyperdrive, that's fine. That's a bit out of the way. 22, not fantastic. Shields, not great. Hyperdrive, not great. The only thing good there is maneuverability, which I do want. I want something that's relatively maneuverable, and that is pretty good maneuverability, but not wonderful. because the other stats aren't great. I'm going to try and adjust something here. Bear with me a second. I try and adjust my screen layout a bit so I don't have to keep jumping around quite as much. Okay, so there. So what's that? Is that 12? Oh, I done it again, running towards the thing instead of going to pulse, going to hyperdrive. That's dissonant. That's dissonant. That's dissonant. That's dissonant. That's dissonant. Trouble with purple systems. So many of them are it's not so much the dissonance, it's the fact that so many of them don't have space stations. They're abandoned. Blue Star. Again, there's quite a lot of them are uncharted, aren't they, Blue? I'm sure we can find some. So supercharge. So if there's one there, that would be pretty good. I just want to provoke a save. Hasn't provoked one yet. There we go. So what we're hoping is one here. Nope. Over here. So it's quite distributed, really. Nope, we don't want to do that. We want to do that. So that's 13. Help me keep count because I'm not paying attention to them, because I'm not writing them down anymore, but I think we're on 13. And again, get into my head that I'm warping as soon as we reload. let's go down the colours. So let's go yellow and then red and then green. That would be 17 then if I wanted to go to blue after. I mean, he is the most reliable source for No Man's Sky. I always want to test that right away. Two together. That one could be a nice shape. You never know. Wait for a save to be provoked. Come on. Interesting looking planet over there. Spot a save coming up, but I'll have a quick look on the save editor's done it. So let me just quickly ship technology. And we go to there. I would say that's disappointing considering there were two starting together. Not one of them was nearby, but I guess this one's not too far away. So if we wanted to hyperdrive it out, that's not too bad. And they're kind of, you can put things either side of them. And that's out in the wilderness there. Damage is not great. Shields is excellent. Hyperdrive is not fantastic. And maneuverability is good. But really, I'm looking at hyperdrive. One of the main ones I want. So no, probably not the best. That's 14. If we skip green. No, actually, no. We'll skip red because red will be hard to find something with a space station anyway. So let's skip red, go to green. Penultimate roll. it's not telling us anything, that one. Going away again. Well, for me, the clear winner is the one that had the good slots in the corner. I don't mind the fact they're in the corner, personally. But you never know, we might get a better one. Never quite sure what to do to provoke a save. I think, well, maybe shooting something will provoke a save. Because it puts things in your inventory. Yeah, it has done. I didn't see it on the screen, though. Technology. Besides. 10. Enable all slots. 1, 2. Oh, this isn't bad. Let me show you. This is actually quite nice for the slots. We've got one here, and one here. And then the odd one over here. The stats, not too bad damage. Shields, yeah, not too bad. That's actually pretty close to what the actual Iron Vulture's shields are. Hyperdrive, not great. Not terrible, but not great. Maneuverability, again, not great. Not terrible, but not great. But those slots are nice. But comparing it to my other high candidate, it's got worse agility. It's got slightly better hyperdrive, which could clinch it. It's got better shields, and it's got only slightly better damage. So yeah, this is probably my better one. So let's just quickly jot down the name of the system. Completely unpronounceable. And then one more. So reload. No, I didn't show the name of the system on the screen, I don't think. And then reload. And we'll go to a blue. This will be our last. Round 16. Blue system. You never really tell the difference between blue and purple without looking at that's blue. But that's pirate. Without comparing the two, I think they're far too close. And sometimes in different lights. Like the difference between that one there and that one there, depending on where you are in the galaxy map, they look very similar. Get close sometimes. They're okay, but no, that's no good though. That's not bad. We didn't mess it up. Besides, if I did load the autosave, I do have the ability to just reload the other one. I'd soon realise I'd be in space. I don't think it would mess anything up. Right, last time's a charm, number 16. It was always meant to be. So this stream has effectively just been me rolling a dice for 2 hours. Technology. If one's here, that's the only redeeming factor. All the rest are blocked out, so seems unlikely. See if it's provoked to save. Yes. Ships. Technology. Resize to 10. The fact I've had to do that gives you a clue this isn't going to be great. And the slots are not great. We've got one here, one here, one here, and one there. That's far too distributed. Damage is terrible. Shields are absolutely excellent. Hyperdrive is pretty good. Maneuverability is okay. Well, actually quite low. So it's going to be a bit of a clunky thing. But some of the stats are good, but that supercharged slot puts me off. So I actually think the previous system may be the one I go for. So it's just a matter of not that screen, that screen. It's just a matter of choosing the color. I should be able to just go to the previous station. Yeah, that one. Some people do stream Balatro. I don't really get it. You'd have to be a lot better at Balatro than I am. I'm terrible at it so far. I haven't quite learned the techniques. I enjoy it. I just haven't really got it yet. Right, so I quite liked the... that way round? Yeah, that's the way around I like it. Yeah. The accent colour is a bit tricky. Getting how sensitive that is on the controller. Ah, wrong button. I'll have to rebuild that. Don't know what it is on the keyboard. Blimey, it's so sensitive. That's not the way around, is it? That's better. this one had them all down here, didn't it? Let's double check, and then we'll see if I've actually got any storage modules to actually use. I have a feeling it doesn't autosave as soon as it creates the ship, you know. It's all that waiting, and maybe it wasn't necessary. Not that it was stupidly long amount of waiting, but it's just I was waiting. Resize inventory 10. And enable all slots. So there. I think that's quite nice. The other one was tucked in the corner, so I feel like that's a little bit better. Gives me more flexibility. Okay, so I'm going to go with this. So let's go back to can a built ship at S class have better stats than a naturally found S class? I'm really confused about this. Basically, is it worth building ships? The general answer is absolutely not. You can't generally get a better ship by building it. You will usually get quite each of the stats will be kind of middling, and they're very rarely at the top of the range. Whereas if you go for an S class ship that you've found, it will probably, or like 9 times out of 10, probably have at least one excellent stat based on its speciality. I'm not actually sure what the speciality of a hauler would be as far as the game's concerned, because I've never really dug around. So you might find that it doesn't make much difference, because if, for instance, the speciality was shields, then it might not make a lot of difference. I've not really hunted for haulers, so possibly depending on the ship, but in general, the speciality of the ship at S class will be much, much better. Yeah, if it is shields, then I guess it doesn't really matter much. We could maybe do a comparison. We could go and find one. I'm gonna have to call in my let's go to that planet and just double check that I do like the look of this before we 100% commit. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't think if it was just the shields and not the hyperdrive as well, then I wouldn't think it would necessarily be worth finding it at S. Let me have a quick look in the background a second, because I did find an S. Would you like to reload? Yes. No, I don't. Main. I did find an S in my normal save, so I can have a quick look at that and see what it came out as. Saved over. No. Ships. No. Main. Normal. Yeah. Ships. Iron Vulture. Must be that one. Okay. Stats for that. Okay, let me just quickly show this just so we can have a look together. This is my main save, and this is the, I believe I got this particular hauler at S class, and I would say the stats aren't that great either. Even the shields are not that high, and the damage is not that high. So It's quite possible that for haulers it really doesn't matter, but I can't. Well, I do know I got this up. Yeah, but this is a ball hauler. I really liked it, and I waited for the S-Class, so I would say maybe it doesn't matter for haulers. But then, of course, that was on my very old save, and things may have changed since then. They did seem to change the way they rolled stats at one point. Yeah, it suits this planet. Yeah, quite like the look of that. All right, let's lock it in. Let's land. And we'll pull up the glyphs. We'll go into photo mode. And that's not very high contrast there. Let's see if we can get it better. Let's maybe put it across the ship. And that's hard to see. Finding a place to, I think that's probably the best way we're going to be able to see it. So this is in Isentum. The glyphs are Diplo, Gek, Bird, Gek, Sunrise, Bird, Ship. What's that called? I always call that Eclipse, Gek, Eclipse, Triangle. So if you did want to build this exact ship with these exact stats and exact supercharged slots, what we need to do is actually liven them up, which is why I called in my freighter, because I think I might have some. If we don't, we maybe have to go and get some. But that could be a completely different stream, I think, maxing this out. Doesn't look like I have any. Because we could use lots of different methods to max it out, see what proves to be the most efficient. Especially now we have a new method in the abandoned systems. And I'm in the latest experimental branch that updated today, so I can't help but just be tempted to round this off, just having a look, because they're coming up to 2.5 hours. So to round off the 2.5 hours, let's just have a very quick look at what we find now, just in case things have changed in an abandoned system and even hyperdrive.
Technology recharge.
Oh, sorry, I've done that before, haven't I? There you go. Actually, I'll move. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Much more comfortable like that. So let's very quickly find an abandoned system, because we're in normal mode and not in abandoned mode. Just see if they've changed anything. Because I can't see. I'm going to have to change a different ship, aren't I? I suppose I could build the different drives if I've got the stuff, which I probably have. Can I build an Atlantic drive? Yes, I can. Can I build the scanners? I haven't got the microprocessors, but I could buy them. Got the Walker Brain. That's ironic. We've got the Walker Brain and not the microprocessors.
Technology installed.
Can't build. Yes, you can build them. Of course you can. I'm thinking of. Is it 3? No, it must have been 4. And I'm missing components. Okay, we're landing. Landing at the space station. Fine. That's steep. So I'm gonna split the stream shortly. When it gets to about the 3-hour mark, I'm gonna take a break. And then I'm going to come back and look at bones, because I haven't really done much with bones apart from collect a load and put them on my freighter. And what I want to do is make a nice decoration on my freighter. So I'm going to come back and do that in about 45 minutes. What am I doing? I've got so used to going there.
Product received.
One for luck. Okay, so now we can go to an abandoned system and find it easily on the map. My hunch is it'll still be the same. We were discussing this right at the beginning of the stream. This idea that the abandoned systems, even in non-abandoned mode, now have these new boxes and terminals. And I'm still kind of in two minds as to what to think, because I mean, for instance, I looked in the files. I'll pull up my file information in a minute and found what the odds were for each drop. But the fact that you can get, for instance, storage augmentations quite so easily. I want to sit down. It's not so bad in normal when you're probably going to have loads and loads of ships and you're going to need as many storage augmentations as you could ever want. But it just feels a little bit OP to have this available in harder settings like permadeath settings or just harder settings in general. Might as well put that slot in. Explain what you mean by that. You mean it doesn't change? Because it kind of does change, and then things are a lot more expensive in higher modes. Where were they? Were they there? I can't go there yet, can I? Because I haven't expanded all of this. Never mind. I mean, in normal, I don't think it matters too much. As I say, like, how many ships have we got now? We've got 12 ships, and is it... How many slots do we have in the thing? In the freighter now? It's quite a lot, isn't it? Well, as far as I can work out from the files, the odds are identical in all modes in those for those boxes. And I'll quickly show you what I found on the odds. Hang on, let me just find the file first. I'm going to have to do this as a screen. I suppose I could add it. Hang on. Get rid of that. Add media, not source. Add a window capture. And this is going to be called file. Select the window. Put that in the middle. So these are the chances. So the abandoned loot box small and abandoned loot box large, and they both look identical. They're both those yellow boxes that we see in the abandoned thing, and we get 2 of one and 1 of the other. And so we only get 1 of these, and they have a 10% chance of a storage augmentation, and they have a 15% chance of multi-tool expansion slot, which I think those are slightly high for something like that. You mainly 50% you're likely to get a tech module, but it never seems that way. You always seem to get those. And then in the abandoned small, this is out of 130. So I've worked out the approximation. So in the abandoned small, storage augmentation is 4%, and multi-tool expansion is approximately 6%. So that's better odds, and we get 2 of those. So we're less likely to get those from the other 2 boxes, but one of them will always be 10 or 15%. It's not balanced that bad. I mean, I'm not sure what I would do to change it. Maybe I would make that multi-tool expansion a bit smaller than the storage augmentation, because they're so much more expensive. If we went to expand our multi-tool, I mean, let's have a quick look how much my current multi-tool. I don't know if it will show me the thing because it's full, but I know I've got the thing still on the screen, but I'll get to that in a minute. I mean, it's interesting that it gives out tech modules. Exosuit expansion slots, multi-tool expansion slots, storage augmentation. It gives the emergency signal scanner, which is important because you need chances to get derelict freighters, otherwise they're out of the game. Yeah, so you can just see it in the bottom corner there. But to purchase a new slot for this multi-tool is 0.6 of a billion units. So to get a 15% chance of getting one dropped in every single abandoned system and another approximately 6% in the other two boxes just feels a little bit high to me. It's like you're giving away something very valuable. And we could argue, well, they give them away in other places as well. Like, for instance, in the guilds. Once you've got your maximum, then you could go from guild to guild and look for them. So maybe it doesn't make an awful lot of difference. Abandoned systems aren't something that you start running into really early on. But you'd have a strategy to go straight to abandoned systems in higher settings and start getting some really juicy stuff. For instance, even one of the worst things is you get 5 level 5 trade goods. So I don't think I'm in an S-class system here, am I? So I haven't even got any level 5 trade goods here. Yeah, polyfiber. I mean, polyfiber is not bad. I'd like to think they'd be tweaking them, but they've never really messed around with these things very much. I would like to see them make this different for different modes. Yeah, I mean, it's all good stuff. Especially in the large box. There's tech module with a 5% chance of S. Storage augmentation, multi-tool expansion slot, exosuit expansion unit, and emergency signal scanner. But then the emergency signal scanner makes the most sense because otherwise you can't get them in abandoned mode. But do we need a free and easy source of emergency signal scanners in normal or in permadeath, for instance? There is food for thought. It's slightly odd choice. I feel like it's not quite balanced the way it should be. But I've been streaming for 2 hours 40, so I'm going to take a break. And then I'm going to come back later. I'll show you quickly what I'm going to do later, just in case anybody's interested in popping back. I go to my freighter. I'm really bad at finishing these things, Well, yeah, but you might want to you might want to get the building parts, for instance. It makes sense that you'd want to at least be able to run. I mean, people aren't just playing abandoned mode for one thing. Some of them might want to run it as just a slightly trickier normal build mode, for instance. What I want to do is I want to make this corridor complete with skulls. And I've got these 4 here. And I've got a few other skeletons. I'm using this as storage. And none of these are built out. They're all... I can take all of them out. I'm just using it as storage. Rather than just have a big pile of bones in here. I thought I'd use the displays. But what I want to do is make that corridor completely full of all the skulls. So that's what I'm going to do when I come back, is start doing some bone hunting, work out how the bartering system works in our favor or not, and just generally play around with hunting for bones. So until then, which will be, I don't know, about 4:30 by time, so about 3/4 of an hour from now, I'll start another stream and I'll have a play with that. But until then, travel well, and thanks for joining me, and goodbye for now.